Ooh, we laugh again. All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is episode 29. Episode 29, Late Night with the Gringo. It is a Friday night here in Mexico, south of the border. And, we just ate. Feel good. Probably ate too much. Probably why I look like I look. Like I'm going to about go into a food coma, but don't worry, I'll be all right. How you feeling?
Feeling good.
You feeling good?
I feel great.
That's awesome. Awesome. So
I don't know why you'd feel any way else.
It's been a weird news day.
Yeah.
Been an odd news day. A lot to read between the lines. We're going to get to it. The two or three biggest stories we got going on. One, TikTok, and then we get the Trump inauguration being moved, and a few other things, pop culture and politics going on. But Joe Biden just making stuff up as he goes along. I guess that's what happens the last couple of days you're president. You just start making shit up. I don't know. It's just, but apparently he's just making shit up. We'll get to that in a second. The big news, and this took you and I a little bit by surprise, because I didn't think the Supreme Court would come down the way it came down. It shows you what kind of expert I am, I guess. They came down with a unanimous 9-0 decision to uphold the ban on TikTok. Now, this is a law that was passed by both chambers of Congress, signed into law by President Biden, even though President Trump kind of did a 180 and wants to save TikTok. And I know it's upset about 170 million TikTokers out there. But I thought there'd be some dissent with some of the Supreme Court justices. Even I expected maybe not a total split decision, but maybe at least one or two erring on the side of First Amendment free speech. But none of them did. None of them did. And the opinion came down. It's about 24 pages long. I've read through it. It basically just recaps the entire
argument made.
And let me actually see if I can get it going here. Yeah, there it is.
It did surprise me, the decision. I didn't also expect it to be unanimous.
Yeah.
Which tells you a lot. I feel like you may have opened a little bit of a box here. It's going to be tough to close.
Well, I mean, as I read through it, I mean, it took a while to kind of get through it and to going through the whole thing. And I'm just, pardon me as I relook at it as I go. There's really, I mean, if you really want to know what happened, it comes down to one key piece, and that's on page, I think it's page 14. So if you let me get to that. And the reasoning behind it. And it comes down to national security. Okay. So the justices wrote, this is the per curiam. If, for example, a user allows TikTok access to the user's phone contact list to connect with others on the platform, TikTok can access, quote, any data stored in the user's contact list, including names, contact information, contact photos, job titles, and notes. Access to such detailed information about U.S. users, the government worries, may enable, quote, China to track the locations of federal employees and contractors, build dossiers of personal information for blackmail, and conduct corporate espionage. And Chinese law enables China to require companies to surrender data to the government, making companies headquartered there an espionage tool of China. Did I freeze up on you?
Yeah, here for a moment, but you're back now.
I'm back now, great.
Should be back in a moment. Yep.
So, really, this one paragraph on page 14 is the argument here that the justices landed on, is that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company.
Right.
By law and regulation within China, they can force Chinese companies to do whatever they need to further their intelligence or espionage needs. So TikTok can become a tool of the state. They're really afraid of, the justices were really siding with the federal government in the idea that, okay, let's say you become a U.S. You go work for the Foreign Service, right? The State Department. You have TikTok. All of a sudden, they're sucking up your information. Now they got something that might be a little compromising, something that can use to blackmail you. Not that you would be that kind of person or unsavory character, but using you as an example.
Quite the unsavory character.
Quite the unsavory character there. So, and really, that's what they're trying to protect against. Now, what I read also, TikTok, the way they argued it is that they kept saying to the justice, it's unlikely that China would compel TikTok to turn over user data for intelligence gathering purposes, since China has more effective and efficient means of obtaining relevant information. Basically, TikTok's argument, which is really weak, I can't believe this is the argument they use. They basically said, don't worry about us because China's got better ways to get your information, so there's no need to ask us. Don't worry, we're not that important, or don't worry, we're not the priority. Instead of coming out and trying to reassure the justices, they're like, no, this is not going to happen, which they couldn't because that would be a lie, right? That would not be an argument. So there's really no way around it. They couldn't give the guarantees of the justices who looked at precedent of national security in the past, because there have been cases that have used national security. In reviewing the constitutionality of the act, however, we must accord substantial deference to the predictive judgments of Congress. So basically, they erred on the side of saying Congress has information, and there's a lot of classified information that the justices said we don't want to know, that Congress was, Merrick Garland and the Attorney General's office was going to actually give, and they said, no, we don't want that, because they don't want to know it, because they're Supreme Court justices, so they're like, no, we don't want that.
That's not our
it's not
business.
That's not our lane, buddy.
Appreciate it.
So they were basically arguing sound policymaking often requires legislatures to forecast future events and to anticipate the likely impact of these events based on deductions and inferences for which complete empirical support may be unavailable. So they're basically saying Congress has the ability to make sound judgments for the future based on extrapolating out based off of maybe experience, maybe past events, possibilities to protect us in the future. Again, there's two sides of that, but that's where all 9 justices came to. Every liberal justice, Sotomayor came down that way. Ketanji Brown Jackson came down that way. Gorsuch came down that way. Amy Coney Barrett came. All 9 just came down on the same level playing field. But they went on to say, even if China has not yet leveraged its relationship with ByteDance Limited, the people who own TikTok, to access U.S. TikTok user data, petitioners offer no basis for concluding that the government's determination that China might do so is not at least a reasonable inference based on substantial evidence. So basically, TikTok and their lawyers failed to basically convince the justices that there were built-in protections for U.S. users and built-in protection. So what's going to happen? Well, it looks like TikTok is going to shut down in the U.S. And by that, I mean, it's not going to be able to be up. You're not going to be able to join TikTok. You're not going to be able to become a new user. You're not going to be able to post. You're not going to be able to update the app. It's just going to become obsolete at this point, unless someone buys it. And I know there's been a few offers out there, but China's not buying. China's not selling, sorry. ByteDance is not selling.
They can't even sell if they wanted to, right?
Well,
if I'm not mistaken.
China has to say yes.
Which is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it's interesting that Xi Jinping is sending his vice president. We're going to get to the inauguration, but just kind of, Trump's all in trying to figure out how to save this thing because he realizes it's to him it's a free speech issue, and it's a very fair assessment. But he's going to look at it too, because I think he's going to become president and he may become privy to some things that maybe he wasn't privy to before, because now he's going to have more access to classified information again once he's back in office. Now, what was interesting to me also is where a lot of the dominoes fell on this. It used to be the Democrats were the free speech party, and we all know that that's changed. They're no longer they're the party of censorship now. They're the party of telling you what you can and cannot say. They're the party of pronouns. They're the party of all that, right? Party of cancel culture. So what happens? Rand Paul comes out, Republican senator from Kentucky. He's like, no, we shouldn't have done this. It's a slippery slope. What's next? Rand Paul, Republican, conservative. All of a sudden, we've got Republicans and conservatives supporting the First Amendment, which, again, it used to be flipped. It used to be a different way around. It used to be Republicans that were all about censorship. But you got Richard Blumenthal, Democratic senator from Connecticut, coming out and saying this is the law of the land. It's what we need to do. It's to protect American citizens. It's national security. And again, I'm not saying either one of them is wrong or right. I just think, you know what? Here's the way I look at it. You play with matches, you get burned. If you sign up for TikTok, you already should know because it's in the ether. It's in the ether, right? It's in the zeitgeist. It's a Chinese app that your information is probably going to get stored or stolen or used or somewhat. It's going to happen, right? It happens with the U.S. apps anyway. So, I mean, again, we look at things that have happened in the past. The U.S. government still collects data on us. Meta, I'm sure, still collects data on us. Google still collects data on us. YouTube, I'm sure, is collecting data on us right now. So, is it because it's China and they don't want you to be influenced? You can't think on your own. I guess I'm more libertarian about this whole thing. And the way I look at it is, yes, I get the whole national security thing, and I don't want anybody. Just tell federal government employees you can't have TikTok. That's all. If that's your real big concern. But as far as if you don't work for the government, you're just a normal, average, everyday citizen, you should know the warnings. You should know the restrictions. You should know the possibilities of signing up for an app like TikTok in a foreign country. Particularly a communist one, particularly our biggest economic and probably military rival at this point. I wouldn't even call Russia a military rival at this point.
I mean, Russia's depleted, so
yeah. So it's China.
I mean, they got North Koreans fighting in Ukraine. That's not really very, sound.
So it's. I think it's personal choice. And then I go back to the argument we made the other night. We're talking about TikTok. Look, if the U.S. government is afraid that all of a sudden TikTok and China is going to turn Americans against America, there's probably some work that the American government needs to do to turn Americans back towards in favor of the American government and supporting America and things like that. Again, credibility, authenticity, transparency, all that in government. We've seen it just go down the toilet in the last 4 years at least, if not 6, ever since the pandemic. And that's the fault of government. That's the fault of, you got governors like Newsom or Whitmer, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, things like that, or that are closing people down, telling them you got to stay in their house longer. Kids can't go to school. You can't go shop for groceries. You can't go to Home Depot and buy paint and stuff to do home renovation. Ridiculous stuff, right? And I've lived in both those states, so believe me, I'm okay talking about both those governors. So, I think this is the easy way out. It's the easy way out for a lot of people in government to say, we don't want this. Now, also I look at it like the Democrats, they've been getting killed on social media. I mean, as far as I know, social media has been helping out Trump way more, helping out Republicans way more, conservatives way more than it's been helping out Democrats. I mean, I remember when social media began and Barack Obama was the first social media president. I mean, it basically got him elected. It really helped get him elected. And now it's become a tool of conservatives. And maybe that's the reason why, people want it shut down. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. But it is what it is. I think Trump's going to save it. I think he's got he's got it in mind that if he can do this, that's 170 million people that maybe look at him, maybe have a different view of him, maybe look at him a little bit differently too as well. He wants to be everybody's president, and that's a good way to kind of start, But yeah, so there you go. There is there it is. This is if you want to read, it's really easy to get it. It's TikTok Inc. versus Garland, U.S. Supreme Court case. Like I said, it's about 20 pages long. It really goes over the whole case and basically they just upheld. They said, we conclude that the challenged provisions of the law do not violate petitioners' First Amendment rights. Okay. The judgment of the U.S. Supreme Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit is affirmed. So they upheld it. And then I think Gorsuch writes a little bit more on his own. Oh, the opinion of Sotomayor, she added a little bit more. Justice Sotomayor concurring in part and concurring in the judgment. I join all but part 2 of this, and she's expressed activity are subject to heightened scrutiny under the First Amendment. It bars any entity from distributing TikTok speech in the United States unless TikTok undergoes a qualified divestiture. The act, moreover, effectively prohibits TikTok from collaborating with certain entities regarding its content recommendation algorithm, even following a qualified divestiture. So, it's not just TikTok can't do anything in the United States. They can't partner with anybody either. you know, the right to, and the act implicates content creators' right to associate with their preferred publisher for the purposes of speaking. That too calls for First Amendment scrutiny. As to the remainder of so she's a little bit more. The one thing she's a little worried about is that now you're also not only saying people can't use the platform, you're saying people can't, or other businesses or entities can't be in sort of league with TikTok or the platform because it might cause sort of like an infection or virus type thing.
Exactly.
So, but there you go.
I understand the security concerns. I really do. I am surprised still with the decision, but I think I think with the, I guess, the written reasons, it will kind of substantiate. Obviously, this does substantiate the decision, but also I think it prevents it from future, I think, what would you say, court decisions being abused based on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, what does this mean for? I mean, so if you're an American social media platform, you're okay, but if you're a foreign social media platform, you're not okay. I mean, like where does this? What's this? What's the line? What's the? Obviously, when you get reviewed by the Supreme Court, you become a litmus test, right?
Right.
You become precedent. And so, what's the precedent?
I think the precedent's in their reasoning. The reasoning is it's a security risk. If you're a national security risk with reasonable national security risk, which I guess this poses, it's no longer free speech. I mean, there's precedent for this in terms of World War One. You couldn't protest certain aspects of war because it was a national security risk, even though it was protesting. So there's precedent. There's some precedent. I don't
disagree with that.
I don't fully agree with it, but I understand it, right?
I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with any type of censorship or any type of intervening of the government into market situations, because obviously the market has dictated that TikTok is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, social media platform out there.
Right.
And so that's capitalism, that's market forces, that's laissez-faire.
I don't agree with it either.
I think that's my other part, is that I'm so uncomfortable with this, is that is this going to become precedent to bleed over into other industries? We've already said we're going to ban Chinese cars from entering the United States, which I'm not sure how you do that. Like what's the reasoning? You just don't want China to sell cars here because you want to sell American cars? Well, that's protectionism. That doesn't really sound like global market forces to me.
No, you're right on that. I like I said, I'm still surprised. I'm just trying to give reason, devil's advocate here. But even then, it's not the strongest. But again, TikTok didn't really put the greatest argument together either.
Oh no, their argument sucked.
Reading it is not.
The argument sucked.
If it was a little better, I think the justices were they did just enough.
Yeah.
But even then,
well, here's my question: is there evidence that's classified? Do you think that TikTok has done some nefarious things that we just don't know about, and that's part of the reasoning behind the law? I mean, Trump seems all about getting the ban lifted. He didn't say anything about getting it sold. He said, or getting somebody to buy TikTok so it could work. He basically trying to figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
Trying to figure out a way to lift the ban. And I don't know. Like I said, I think there's a lot more to this story that we just don't know. There's a reason behind it. Now, again, there's 9 Supreme Court justices, all of which I have a lot of respect for these people.
Right.
As philosophers of law and arbiters of justice. So I have a hard time believing all 9 of them got it wrong together. Again,
they might know something that we don't.
There's got to be something else here that's not
public.
That's not public. So, but there you go. Sorry to everybody. I guess you're all gonna have to go to Red Note until they pass a law against that one.
Or Instagram.
Well, everybody's going to Red Note. All the TikTokers are going to Red Note as like a form of
Lemonade.
And Lemonade. Those are both Chinese owned too.
Right.
So
my question is, are you going to ban those now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now the law as written, it only speaks to TikTok. I mean, are they going to all of a sudden create a law that is all encompassing next?
That's what you're setting it up for.
All of a sudden, hey, everything that's Chinese is illegal.
Damn, you're not our ally? Guess that I can't be sold.
So, yeah. So there we go. TikTok. Sorry to everybody.
170 million users.
Again, my heart goes out to the people who use it for business, who rely on it for business. For the people who rely on it for their little dances,
there's other platforms.
There's other platforms. Okay.
If it's your income, also.
Yeah.
I mean, I also feel bad for you.
Yeah.
That's rough. Hopefully, you can maybe migrate those users to another platform.
What am I going to do without Libs of TikTok? Have you ever heard of Libs of TikTok?
No.
Libs of TikTok is a very famous account on TikTok that everybody tries to keep getting banned. It's this one woman, and she keeps posting like when liberals or progressives do something completely stupid and ridiculous or say something completely stupid and ridiculous. She posts it, calls it Libs of TikTok. And it's friggin' hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. She's she's very famous, one of the bigger accounts on TikTok, I think. So what am I going to do without those? Because sometimes they make their way onto my feed on YouTube get reposted. So,
well, I guess you're gonna have to sit down and cry about it.
I guess I'm gonna cry.
Guess you're gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry a tear. Anyway, so
tear.
U.S. Supreme Court has weighed in, folks. 3 days before inauguration. Speaking of inauguration, yeah, they're moving the inauguration according to a lot of news sources. The inauguration of President Trump will now be moved indoors because of cold weather. I don't know.
Listen, I've been to some cold weather, and I don't fully buy this one. I feel like there's more to this.
Well, let's hear from the man himself. On Truth Social, I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way. Okay. The cold, Trump wrote, noting the temperature lows could pose dangerous conditions for law enforcement personnel and spectators. It said Trump said he had ordered much of the proceedings moved to the Capitol Rotunda and that Washington, D.C.'s Capital One Arena would be open to spectators to watch the ceremony live. Trump added that he would join the crowd in the arena after his swearing in. Okay. All right. I get that. Okay. I can buy some of that. My biggest problem is this. We just had the incoming border czar on Fox News on one of their programs, and they asked him about it. And they said, why, what's the reason for moving it indoors? And he literally says, well, there are many reasons. Well, no, there's only one reason. It's the cold weather, right? What do you mean there's many reasons? What do you know that I don't know? What do you know that no one else knows? Listen, this man's life has been under threat from foreign countries, particularly Iran. It's out there. It's public. It's well known.
I mean, he's been attempted twice now.
Yeah, it's hard.
3 times if you count 2016.
Yeah, it'll be hard to really lock down that whole area. And thank God I don't have you on camera because you got your hat on, your shirt. Jeez.
What's wrong with my hat?
The Atlanta Braves hat. You
like it?
Traitor. Anyways, it's hard. It'll be hard to cover all that ground. And then first responders in cold weather, maybe they don't respond as quickly because they're friggin' freezing. I think there's more of a security risk here than
they also canceled the parade outside.
Canceled the parade.
Which, I mean, if you're security risk-wise, that's the biggest security risk. I mean, he's moving, he's standing in certain areas for, obviously not for a super long time, but enough where, if you think something bad could happen, it's concerning.
I think something bad is... I think they have. They keep talking about the weather. It's
the weather, guys. I mean, granted, I know the weather is bad up there. It's cold, but it can't be that cold.
We lived in that weather.
I mean, we lived pretty much in that weather.
I mean, we know it's cold, but
also there was that article like a few weeks ago.
You read that article? I didn't read.
There was a few articles that were talking about like a security risk or threat at the inauguration, but they got buried. No one ever picked it back up. Of course, there's always a security risk with every ceremony. But I guess this one maybe, if you're going to read in between the lines, was more serious, more credible.
Yeah, I think it's more than just cold weather that's moving him inside.
And I think it's...
because he loves crowds.
Yeah.
He loves crowds. That was a big deal for him. When he first got inaugurated, when he was inaugurated the first time, the crowd size, it actually became a controversy. The media wanted to make fun of it. But anyways, he loves rallies, crowds, cold weather. He's from New York.
Yeah, he had to be convinced. Someone had to have been like, listen, we can't take this risk. I've heard third time's the charm. It's not looking so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, the rotunda is a lot easier to protect him.
And then the arena also, you control who's in, who's out.
Yeah, magnetometers, things like that.
Everything's under control there.
This is so, yeah, I haven't, they said, Reagan moved indoor because it was cold, but it was really cold that day. It was like negatives.
Yeah, granted, I mean, it is also bad to get the president sick.
Yeah, it's bad to get.
We did have a president die of pneumonia.
Yeah, he did. He died
because he had an hour speech.
Yeah, he spoke for an hour out in the freezing rain.
Was it rain or snow?
No, it was rain. Freezing rain.
Yeah, got pneumonia and he died a month later.
Yep.
Thanks, Taylor.
So.
It is President Taylor, no? If I'm not mistaken.
That was Henry Harrison.
Was it Henry Harrison?
I think it's Henry Harrison. I think it's William Henry Harrison.
I could be wrong. Yeah, Taylor might have been the guy.
Tipper Canoe and Tyler too. Taylor. Could have been Zachary Taylor. No, it wasn't Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor didn't die in office.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
I think you're right. Yeah, it was Harrison. Imagine that's being your legacy. I died from pneumonia.
Yeah, well.
Real presidential legacy there.
Well, we'll be streaming all the festivities Monday. We're going to get up early and stream live and comment on everything. So hopefully you'll join us for that. It'll be fun.
Start yelling at people.
Start yelling at things and, see what happens. You got Kid Rock. You got Carrie Underwood. You got Snoop Dogg's going to be there. Shoot. It sounds like a party to me.
Don't you have the Village?
The Village people are going to perform YMCA.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He's going to soak that, right?
Oh, he's going to love that. He's going to love that. But I mean, again, I'm not sure how it's going to look or go, how it's going to be set up. The rotunda, I've been in the rotunda before. It's a pretty big space, but I don't know if it's that big for what they want to do.
I mean, people are going to have to be pushed to the side.
Yeah, it's going to be.
They probably had this organized for a while.
No, they're actually building it right now. They have to work all throughout the night.
No. But I mean, as in this whole past week, they probably with this. They didn't make this announcement out of the blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were planning this behind the scenes. They're like, all right, we're doing the rotunda. How do we organize it?
Yeah.
Which is why they have them now working throughout the night because it's such a 360. Because you don't tell the normal workers, hey, stop for a moment. You can have them work like normal until otherwise.
Well, like I said,
if it's a security risk.
The news asked the workers, will this be ready? And they're like, we have no choice.
It's like, what do you mean, will it be ready?
So
I'm getting paid. It has to be ready.
It has to be ready by Monday. So there we go for that. And but don't worry, we still have President Biden being President Biden for a couple more days. Now, he's given a lot of pardons. He's commuting a lot of sentences. And I'm fine with it.
He
commuted 2,500 nonviolent drug offender sentences.
That's fine with me.
It's fine, whatever.
I mean, they need help more than prison time, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm not worried about that. He's trying to secure his legacy and tell people how great he is and how bad the new guy's going to be. No one's really believing it. He put out a video. His cabinet put out a video today talking about he wanted the cabinet to look like America today. It's the most diverse, most women, blah, blah, blah. And again, it's all DEI stuff, and really, that's not really what people want to hear right now. But apparently he's also making up constitutional amendments.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was a little confused. I was like,
right.
I don't think he has the power for this.
So let's go back a few days where he gave his farewell address. He talked about the president does not have a limited power. The president needs to respect institutions. I guess that meant everybody but him, because he's declared the ERA amendment as law, as constitutional law. The president has no say in what amendment becomes constitutional law. It needs to be voted on either by 3/4 of the states need to approve it, or 3/4 of the House of Congress, by Congress needs to approve it.
He's the head of the executive branch.
Yeah, he does not make up,
but he executes it. But he doesn't. He enforces it. He doesn't, create it.
So there's this group called the National Archivist. If something was going to officially become part of the Constitution, as an amendment does, the National Archivist has to publish it. And they're refusing to publish it. They're like, that's not how it works.
I bet some of them are like, we like you, but it's like, buddy, we can't.
Yeah,
listen,
we can't.
I know it's rough. You're dealing with this right now, but we can't let you get away with this.
President Biden on Friday declared that he considers the Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution is, quote, the law of the land, a surprising declaration that does not have any formal force of effect, but it is being celebrated by its backers in a rally in front of the National Archives. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. The amendment would need to be formally published or certified to come into effect by the National Archivist, Colleen Shogan, and when or if that will happen is unclear. The executive branch doesn't have a direct role in the amendment process, and Biden is not going to order the archivist to certify and publish. He can't. He can.
He can ask them.
Yes, but they're not going to do it.
They're going to tell you no. I wish I could do that. Just be like, no, this is law now. Magical.
It's not a ratified amendment. It's never has been.
Never probably will be. I don't even know what the amendment is.
Equal Rights Amendment. It's you can't discriminate based off of sex.
Isn't that always a thing?
It's not technically specifically in there, but the 14th Amendment really kind of covers you, I guess, for anybody out there. 14th, 15th Amendment, 13th, 14th, 15th.
I think we've got plenty.
Yeah. The 1970s era amendment passed by Congress would guarantee men and women equal rights under the law, but it took until 2020 for enough state legislatures to ratify it, missing a deadline set by Congress by a long shot. They were supposed to have this.
When were they supposed to have this by? If it was 1970?
I think it was 1989.
So they're... Oh, we're really late.
Yeah, they had until 1989 to get this all done. They didn't. Therefore, it has to start the process all over again.
31 years late.
So it's not the law of the land. It's not ratified. It's not certified. It won't be
I just said 31 years late. That's I math wrong there. What is 36 years late? Yeah. About.
Oh, yeah, because 5 years ago, Virginia finally ratified it, giving it enough state legislatures, but it's like 30 years too late. Is law of the land... No, wait. Regardless of their sex. Okay. Unfortunately, you know what? This will never come into play again. This will never happen again. You want to know why? Because, unfortunately, Democrats can't define a man and they can't define a woman.
And the law requires you to be specific because the law is a specific endeavor.
No, it actually... I'm going with... I would argue the opposite. It says you can't be discriminated based off of sex.
Right.
Okay, well, what's your sex? If you're one of these people who, misgender themselves. And by the way, I heard that today. Like, this person misgendered me. No, you misgendered yourself. You were born a boy. You don't want to call yourself a girl. You're misgendering yourself. I haven't misgendered you. So, it said it would be a way to protect abortion rights as well. Senator Kristen Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, said it would be a perfect way to protect abortion rights. Said she expects that the matter will end up in the Supreme Court. No, this will not end up in the Supreme Court because it's
expired.
Expired.
In other words, it was aborted.
It was aborted.
That's terrible.
That's a terrible joke. So President Biden making up constitutional amendments, calling things the law of the land. He's out of his mind. And I still say he's got more pardons to go. He's got tomorrow and Sunday. While people, they love to do things on Sunday night when people are watching football and no one's paying attention.
Hey, listen, I've not forgotten about our bet.
Our bet is he's going to have at least 3. I'm telling you, his brother, Fauci, and they don't have to be these specific 3, but these are 3 I think that have come first.
Yeah, I know.
Fauci.
You said Liz Cheney.
And Liz Cheney. Yep. I think those 3 are going to get pardons.
Listen, if it's 2, and I'll give you credit. Oh, wow, you guessed it.
Maybe even Adam Schiff.
What? Just give it, at that point, just give it all to, every Democrat, senator, representative.
Every member of the January 6th committee that made
sure. Just like, yeah, you pass.
Christopher Wray. Outgoing FBI director Christopher Wray for probably lying in front of Congress. They were FBI agents. There's now confirmed FBI agents were in the crowd. Undercover FBI agents were in the crowd on January 6th. We've been told all along that no, there were no FBI resources on the ground during the January 6th insurrection.
It starts just deteriorating the situation.
So, there you go. But there you go. There's a picture. There he is, smiling, holding on to the desk. I mean, he looks like he's holding on to the desk like he's holding on to the toilet like he's got to take a crap. Like, literally, he's like, This is like
It's
he's
more like a desperate
he's
no.
literally crapping his pants right now, and he's happy to do so. He's been holding on to that turd for about 2 hours.
No, it's more like that desperate last grasp of you don't want to go,
or maybe
so you're just holding on to it.
Maybe he's just holding himself up. I don't know.
I don't think so.
But again, I kind of feel bad for him, but I don't. You were president, so. But yeah, he's doing plenty. He's doing plenty. He is doing plenty.
Well, he's a busy man right now.
Well, so we have all this news going on. So I got a question for you.
Sure. I love questions.
When was the last time you heard anything about the incident in New Orleans?
It's been a minute.
Okay, how about when was the last time you heard anything
Vegas,
about
not a whisper.
How about drones? Have you heard about drones lately?
I thought I saw something once about drones earlier. I think today.
Not much.
Maybe.
Not much. Not much has happened, buddy. So all three of these stories just sort of went and disappeared. Are we ever gonna? You think we'll ever know?
Probably 40 years from now. You'll be gone.
Trump said
I'll boot up the stream 40 years from now. I'll be like, you see,
Trump
the drones.
Trump said the day after his inauguration, he would release something on the drones. He said that about 2 weeks ago.
He hasn't mentioned it for a while.
Whether he said anything after that, I don't know. Whether he's going to come through on that promise, I don't know. But there's so much going on. But I just, again, I don't know. These stories just went away. They just went away.
Yeah, they just kind of buried it.
They did kind of bury it. They really did.
And no one already questioned it. It's just like, all right, move on.
So
It's what it is.
And if it's China,
I doubt it's China. I feel like it's us. That's why we bury it.
I don't think it's us.
I think it's us.
I don't think it's us.
I really do think it's us. This would not be the first time we mess with our own people.
I know, but
I mean, we've got a really long history of this.
Do you think Trump became president and he's like knocked this drone shit off because it's our own people?
Probably.
And that's why it's died as a news story?
Yeah. I think if it was foreign, you'd have Trump blowing a gasket. Oh, I think we lost you. On camera. Your camera just died here.
Oh, you lost me. I'm back again.
Does this thing have a VPN? Yes, it does. That's why.
What?
Your iPad has a VPN.
Yeah, it has a VPN.
Always?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's why it's interfering.
VPN's not on my phone.
Still, but isn't? Oh.
Okay, cool. So I was doing some research on China. And
as you do normally.
As I do normally. Because we live here in Mexico. China's taken over. And I was looking at this massive automobile complex that they're building in northern Mexico. So they can send cars into the United States, which supposedly is not going to happen, but I think will end up happening. And so I'm sorry to say that I'm in the market for a car, and I went and looked at the Chinese cars.
They're nice.
They're freaking really nice.
They're really nice.
They're really nice.
I told you.
Now, I went and looked at Toyotas. I went and looked at the Chinese cars here.
They're reliable too.
The Cherais. Here they are. This is the Cherais. Right?
Yeah, I love them.
And this is their website here.
Their corporate offices are in Mexico. You know that?
Yeah.
So it is a Chinese, I think, brand, but it's technically Mexican.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Which is funny.
Plug-in hybrid or gasoline? I don't know which is which. I gotta go gasoline here.
And I think that's strategic. If you want to sell cars to the U.S., the company is based in Mexico technically by law.
Yeah.
Not Chinese.
But
it actually is Chinese.
And this is the one I looked at. I think is this it? The Tigo 4 Pro.
I think you looked at the Tigo 2.
Tigo 2? I looked at both. I looked at the Tigo 4 and the Tigo. I looked at all of them, but some of them are big. They look like...
Again, very nice cars. I sat inside one, and I realized it was the first time I sat in the driver's seat of a car in 3 years.
Yeah.
It was crazy for me for a moment. I just kind of floor
it. They're really... And they're not cheap. They're not cheap. This Tigo 4 was looking at it's like 18,000.
Some of these cars, the cars we took a look at, they're nicer than the American cars we have out now. No?
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's what I
Easy.
think. I think easily. I think we let our automotive industry slack off.
we have. I mean, and again, I sat in these things and I'm like,
It's nice.
yeah, and nice technology. They're
A
well
lot of
made.
technology. I'm
Leather.
sure there's something in there.
I'm sure there's something in everything.
Yeah, but
I mean, everything's got a GPS unit, right?
yeah, it's real
So
nice stuff.
it comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that stuff. So yeah, I just intelligently urban. Let's see here, pearl white. I went with the pearl white. That's the one I was liking, and the headlights are LEDs.
You want
Oh, here's the interior. Finally, here's the interior. All leather.
Yes.
So I mean, people in the United States, China's making cars.
And they're better than ours.
They're really popular down here. Actually, they sell out. Like literally, I asked the guy. I said, if I wanted to buy this car, how many days till delivery? He's like, well, this is the one I have, and you can have it in 2 days after we get through all the paperwork because Mexico's a little different. He goes, after that, it's a 30 to 40 day delivery because they have to make them. The only thing about the Chinese cars here in Mexico that people warn me about is because they're so new, they're only a year or two old, that if something does that, you get to a car accident, you need a part, it might be harder to get parts. But I think that's alleviating itself. So
Yeah, they're building a plant, right, like we said, in northern Mexico. Because the only plant on this side of the world is in Brazil.
yeah,
And so what happens is, if you need a part, they have to make it in Brazil, and then they have to ship it. Or they have to get it from Brazil. So, but now because they're building so many, they're just kind of starting to build up a stockpile. So that won't be a problem in the future.
yeah. But I mean, I really enjoyed sitting there watching it, and that's okay. Sitting there watching it, sitting there and wanting to.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. I mean, it had everything you could want. I was in a luxury model. It's 6 speakers, manual, folding side mirrors.
Even the what is it, the economy model, essentially what it is?
Yeah, the economy model, the comfort.
it's
They call it the comfort.
the comfort
not
model?
The comfort model.
It's still super nice.
Yeah.
Not many big differences.
No, I mean, spacious.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with them. They work well. I mean, the price point also is like cheaper, I think, than some American cars too.
Oh yeah,
And they're nicer.
oh yeah.
They're nicer. They work better. Sure, the parts are not,
Yeah.
easy
Look-
to find right now. But I think that, as time goes on, you're going to start to struggle to choose a Ford over this.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at a picture right now of the ongoing development at the Alianza Industrial Park, where a number of Chinese companies are building factories next to established auto groups like Daimler, Chrysler, and all that. Because Volkswagen's down here, Chrysler's down here, Toyota's
Yeah,
down here.
Volkswagen's king down here. I mean, there's any automobile company that's king in Mexico, it's Volkswagen. I mean,
They
Beetles everywhere, Jettas everywhere.
They like the Germans.
The Germans like us.
Well, Germans like Mexico. So,
Yeah, Germans like Mexico. Everyone has a honeymoon here.
Chinese companies in
Crazy.
Mexico double industrial footprint in 3 years. So yeah, in 3 years, China and Mexico. The president of China, Claudia Sheinbaum,
China.
president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, met with Xi Jinping during I think it was the G20,
Right.
and they came out of that meeting. They were like, "Yeah, we love each other. We like both countries. We have a great relationship." Here's the thing: why are we talking about this? Because that's how they get into America. That's how these companies are going to invade the American economy and decimate the American economy. So, if you think China is an economic rival, you got to pay attention to what they're doing down here, because they are taking over.
Why would we say they're taking over here? Because Mexico's very strict with that. Mexico has that's why Mexico's like, okay, they have a lot of regulations and rules, a little different from the U.S. Where in the U.S., if you buy land, you buy a factory, it's your factory.
Sure.
It's really hard to take it away from you, for the most part. Mexico's like, it's impossible to kind of be able to keep onto it.
Here's where they're having a lot of regulations, and here's where. So this picture I'm showing right now is armed Marines, Mexican Marines, guard the Mexico Mart shopping mall during an operation by federal authorities in Mexico City to seize Chinese counterfeit goods. That's what that's the huge.
It's
It's the counterfeit stuff that Mexico doesn't want. The regular stuff they're fine with. The
Right.
counterfeit stuff is where they have a problem. And of course, China's known for having lots of counterfeit stuff. But if they keep their businesses up and up, they're going to be here in a long. They're going to be here, and they're going to start really taking advantage of this economy down here and the workforce and the labor force.
They'll take advantage of the workforce because it's cheaper labor, but I don't think it's going to be like those situations like you see in Africa. Mexico doesn't allow that to happen.
True.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, where they take over
they take over. You pretty much the country can't say no anything. Mexico would not allow that to happen. No.
So, but yeah. So definitely China. China's here. China is here.
And you know what? They're making good cars, so I can't really hate them for that.
They do. All right. Speaking of Mexico, so we all know what I feel about Emilia Perez and the movie Emilia Perez, and it's starting to get more and more attention because
it's the best movie you ever watched.
Because it sucks.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Horrible. Who greenlit this?
So it's a. So let me get this straight. Hollywood is all about representation. So if the role is supposed to be a quadriplegic, they're all about getting a quadriplegic to play the role, not someone to act like a quadriplegic. You know what I mean? So they had a movie written and directed by a Frenchman that takes place in Mexico City. There's only one Mexican actor in the whole movie. So I guess that whole we believe in representation is all a bunch of BS.
Well,
because they want their message of the musical transgender drug kingpin that makes fun of murder victims in Mexico. I think that's it's a great way that person's the hero. I think it's great. So he comes to Mexico with his movie, and he needed to apologize to the Mexican people. So French filmmaker Jacques Audiard defended and apologized for his film Emilia Perez at its Mexican premiere Wednesday, addressing criticism surrounding its portrayal of drug trafficking and the nation's crisis of missing persons. And crisis isn't even a word.
Crisis is not even a word. It's an epidemic and horrific.
It's just a way of life at this point. Set to open in Mexican theaters next week, the film, which had 10 nominations and 4 wins at the Golden Globes, January 5th in Los Angeles, including Best Picture, has polarized audiences with its narrative and casting choices. No, if you're a liberal, progressive piece of shit, you think it's the greatest thing in the world because trannies. If you're a tranny, you can get away with anything.
Which is not very often. You don't find that really here in Mexico. So it's a very, very, very small portion of this country. Here we go. The film, a narco musical about a cartel leader's gender transition. This person basically becomes a national hero in Mexico because they transition from a man to a woman. They're never held accountable for their crimes. They actually set up a business where a non-profit organization to become famous. And what they do is they actually go out and find the people that they're responsible for killing. Because they hired the people to kill them.
Yeah, because they know where the bodies are.
Which is so wrong.
And then they return them to the families that they initially took them away from, give them hugs and everything. And, oh, you're the greatest, Emilia Perez.
It's like it's an okay.
Yeah. And then they turn her into a saint and replace the Virgin Mary with her. So that is Emilia Perez.
Guadalupe. Which is Virgin Mary, yes, but a little more specific here. So it's sacrilegious.
The director apologized, but it's not enough. They should never have made this movie.
I don't even know how you can defend it.
Starring Selena Gomez and Zoe Saldana. Two Mexicans right there. They're not Mexican. Those people are Mexican.
Listen, I know he's French. They're not still salty about Cinco de Mayo, right? Is this why they made this movie?
They might be.
Is this their revenge?
It might be. I don't know.
What do we do?
Here we go. The director says, okay, the film mainly in Mexico, for its way, addresses sensitive topics, including the tens of thousands of forced disappearances in Mexico. Quote, the drama of the missing is something that shocks me deeply, Audiard said. It's a tragedy that's largely invisible outside of Mexico, and my goal was to generate dialogue, not offense. One, you're absolutely wrong. It's not invisible outside of Mexico. We're quite aware of it in the United States. Your goal was not to generate a dialogue, because you never actually talk about generating dialogue. All you care about is making a transgender person a hero despite of all their crimes. You wanted a dialogue about cutting off someone's dick. That's what you wanted a dialogue for. And you didn't care who you had to hurt to get to it.
We don't have to talk about the songs, do we?
I'm not talking about
the songs.
Quote, if you think I approached it too lightly, I apologize. Listen, a musical celebrating the person who commits these crimes is too light. Yes. I think if you don't see that, you're an idiot. And I think you are an idiot. I think this guy is an idiot. Cinema's purpose isn't to provide answers, but to provoke questions. No,
what questions does this provoke? There's no questions provoked.
Again, here's one of these guys who thinks their art is higher. Art is not there to provoke questions when it comes to cinema. Cinema is there to entertain. If you want to provoke questions, go be a painter, a sculptor, something that actually has high intelligence to it. Cinema is write something down, point the camera. Very rare instances are you going to get, oh, it's there to provoke questions. No. Cinema's there. Movies are there to entertain.
There is some cinema that does provoke questions.
Movies are there for the general public.
True, but there are some movies that do that.
Some. They're very rare.
They're very rare, but I mean, this is not one of them. Let's make that very clear here.
Okay. Audiard and they said the casting decisions were partly influenced by financial considerations because the film's predominantly non-Mexican cast, which is why you probably people ask, well, if the film's so bad and so insultive to Mexican people, why are there so many Mexican people in the film? Those aren't Mexican people. Those are from other countries. They're just getting paid. The choice of Selena Gomez, Carla Sofia Gascon, formerly known as, or originally known as Juan Carlos Gascon, and Zoe Saldana was strategic to secure funding. He said, while expressing admiration for the vast talent within Mexico. There's plenty of great talent. There's plenty of actors and actresses in Mexico
that you could have asked.
The reason why you didn't ask, because they all would have said no the minute they read the script.
Well, they won't. Yeah, exactly my point. I was just about to say no. No, because they wouldn't say yes to this. This is literally insensitive, sacrilegious, wrong, and about every level and every facet.
Yeah,
and it should never have been made, and it was made. I don't know why.
The controversy extends beyond the screen with Gascon revealing she has received death threats on social media. Let me see him. I want to see. How come everybody says I received death threats, but then they never show the death threats?
Yeah, I never get that.
I want the receipts. Audiard, I'm
not saying it didn't happen. I just want to see them.
Audiard, who avoids social media, expressed dismay at the personal attacks. You personally attacked the religion and culture of an entire nation.
The largest Spanish-speaking nation in the world, and you're surprised people are offended. I'm actually surprised the cartels aren't even offended.
What I'm getting is the hypocrisy. I can make a movie that insults and denigrates and demeans an entire culture and people and religion, but yet you're like, oh my God, I can't believe someone said something mean to me on social media and attacked me personally. You just attacked personally everyone here in this country.
Yeah, my point.
Horrible. These fucking snowflakes that deserve to be just, oh my God, I can't believe they're being, and then you give them an award. He goes, it's a country I deeply respect. No, you don't.
If you deeply respect it, you would never have made the film.
I was very careful. I didn't want to offend Mexicans to hurt anyone. When you replace the most iconic religious figure that holds a place in the everyday life of these people here in this country, when you replace that religious figure with a transgender cartel boss responsible for the murder and disappearance of thousands, you're going to offend them. And if you didn't know that when you were writing it, you did know that. You wanted to write it, and now you're backtracking, trying to you're ignorant. You're not ignorant.
You don't even have to come to Mexico to know how important that religious figure is. You can go to the Vatican, go downstairs to where the crypts are, which is free, public access, and next to where they have the little, there's a little glass wall there. You can look and see where St. Peter's bones are left in this little box, right? Mm-hmm. To the left of it is a small little chapel dedicated to Guadalupe. And it's like a little Mexican chapel. Literally dedicated. You don't have to leave your own continent to know that. It's just ignorant. It's like, didn't know research. Or you did know this, which I believe you did, and you didn't care.
Just a Frenchman being a Frenchman. Just wanting to piss people off. Just saying, I want to shit on your religion. I want to look down upon you. I'm French. I'm better. I know better. Just that's what it says. I'm just a French artist that just wants to shit on people. I want to shit on a country. I want to make money. And I want to do it but yeah, there you go. That is what it is.
Can we also talk about the whole diversity in the movie?
Yeah, talk about it. What is it?
Hollywood's got this obsession about diversity, which I have no problem. I think embracing other cultures is awesome. Mm-hmm. But my problem is when you take another culture and you're like, all right, like look at Assassin's Creed. I mean, that's not Hollywood, but for example, Assassin's Creed, the Japanese game.
Yeah.
Who's the main protagonist? A black samurai.
Black samurai.
Why are we throwing... Listen, I'm not saying you can't celebrate other cultures if you're another race, but if you're going to make something about another culture, use the people of that culture.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to make a Mexican movie, use Mexicans.
Yeah, and Zoe Saldana, the character is supposed to be from the Dominican Republic, and I'm like, okay. But why can't they just be a Mexican lawyer? Why can't just be Mexican women can't be lawyers? I know plenty. You and I, we have family. We have more lawyers in our family, and half of them are women.
Right.
And they're very accomplished.
And very, very well adept at their jobs.
They're really good at what they do.
Very nice people too.
So it's not an implausible thing, and that's just within my
fine,
family.
you want to do Dominican? Fine, no problem. You still only have one Mexican in the cast.
Just one, and that was the lesbian lover.
Which doesn't really help you in your cause.
Selena Gomez, I guess Selena, and again, I don't know Spanish well enough. Again, the Spanish varies from country to country, and I guess Mexican Spanish is more formal Spanish, Castilian Spanish.
We're actually, our Spanish is older than Spain Spanish. I was there.
Selena Gomez is Spanish when she's speaking Spanish. Now she's a person of Latino descent,
right?
So she knows Spanish from her heritage. But her Spanish is not Mexican Spanish. So I guess Mexicans actually listening to the Spanish she speaks as they were watching the film were like, that this is wrong.
Right. It sounds wrong. It doesn't sound right.
So I'm like, okay. So
even
he didn't care. This director is lying his ass off. He didn't care about the Mexican people. He didn't care about not respecting the culture. He didn't care about any of all that. And it's just, like I said, it's going to win the awards. I'm telling you, we're going to make the bet.
We're going to make a bet.
I mean, it's going to get nominated for Best Actress. For the tranny.
Nomination? Are we making bets on nomination or winning?
Oh, it's going to win.
I make bets on winning, not nominations, because nominations, anyone can get a nomination.
I think it's going to win, yeah.
Well, not anyone, but...
It's the anti-Trump vote. That's what it is. And they've already said that in other articles. This movie is Hollywood's first opening salvo against Trump, who made transgender an issue in the campaign.
So you attacked the country south of the border that you claim to protect?
Well, I think Hollywood...
What kind of backwards logic is this?
Hollywood's looking for any straws to grasp.
If you wanted to do a transgender movie, fine. But if you wanted to go after Trump, you base in the U.S. You know what I mean? Why you got to go after the southern country that you claim to protect and
by the way,
cherish?
Personally, if someone's looking for a movie that addresses transgender, transvestite, or uses that type of identity in a way that's like a positive... Go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's much better. Tim Curry as Frankenfurter. It's hilarious. It's a musical as well, by the way, with Meatloaf in it. So it's not a question of like, do I not like musicals? No, I love musicals. Do I not like? Do I think the idea of this identity politics being in a movie is totally wrong? I don't agree with the identity politics, but I believe it can be used in a certain way. But this way, actually, I mean, you
hurt yourself.
You hurt yourself. I mean, I think it hurt transgender. The idea of transgender, I think it hurt that identity
in this country.
I think it's gonna. I think the more people see it and realize what it is, and the more people talk about it, it hurts it.
Well, that and now you probably pissed off the cartels because they don't like being portrayed like this. They hate that. They hate it. So they'll take out their frustration one way or the other on people like that too. So now you probably also endangered the community down here if there is a sizable one.
Maybe.
Which I'm sure there is.
I'm sure there is. But he did. He went and apologized.
That's not an apology.
It's not an apology. It's a
claim to an apology, but it isn't.
So, anyways, all right. Well, that's our day. That's what I had for everybody.
That's it.
I'm running for about an hour. It's a Friday night. We're gonna have some fun.
Tomorrow's football. So we'll see everybody Sunday night. We're going to be off tomorrow, but we'll see everybody Sunday night. And, from south of the border. You want to say goodbye? Adios.
Salud. Aluevo. Everybody have a great weekend. Please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blast. We're out of here.